She did it with my money. I remember the last thing my grandmother said to me. She had been frail for months, but her mind stayed sharp. Sharp enough to pierce me with one last truth. I know how they treat you, Em, but I see you. And I left, something that's only yours. She smiled then, tired but sure, and I, stupid with hope, believed that something, anything, would change. 2 months after her funeral, I was called into the lawyer's office. The estate had been settled, the documents signed. I showed up alone, even though I knew my parents and younger sister Madison had already been there the day before. The lawyer handed me a sealed envelope with my name on it, handwritten in Nana's favorite blue ink. Inside were 2 things: a short letter and a note about a bank transfer for $175,000, my inheritance. My name was on the account. My heart caught in my throat. I couldn't even breathe, but that breath never came. Because as the lawyer shuffled through the official documents, confusion wrinkled his forehead. It's strange. The transfer was reversed. Says here the account was closed the day after it was created. Funds dispersed into a new family trust, in your father's name. My pulse went cold. What family trust? He scanned the documents. It doesn't list beneficiaries, just that it was used as collateral to co-sign a business loan. From what I can see, it was wired to a commercial real estate purchase. That was the first time I heard the words that would burn their way into my soul. Madison's bridal. When I got home that day, I didn't say anything. I just watched from the kitchen as my parents and Madison toasted glasses of champagne, celebrating the upcoming soft launch of her luxury bridal boutique. We're building a family legacy, Mom said, clinking her glass to Madison's. I'm so proud of you, Dad added. We just knew you had the vision to pull it off. Madison beamed in her white silk robe, curls pinned like some Pinterest princess. Couldn't have done it without you guys. She was right. She didn't do it without them. I didn't confront them. Not yet. There's a numbness that comes with that level of betrayal. It doesn't hurt, not right away. It just stuns you, like your brain's waiting for your heart to catch up. A few days later, Mom slid a paper across the table while I was finishing dishes. A folded schedule. Names, time blocks, cleaning tasks. At first I thought it was for a housekeeper. Madison said she could use someone reliable to help keep things running smoothly. You've always been organized, sweetie. This could be your foot in the door. I stared at it. You want me to work there? Of course, it's a boutique, not a corporate cubicle. You'll be surrounded by lace and satin. So pretty. My fingers clenched the paper. I'd be... What, her assistant? Mom gave that tight smile, the kind she saves for moments when she needs me to play dumb. Well, technically, more like facilities support. Inventory, errands, sweeping up at the end of the night. Maybe some front desk if Madison needs a break. I wanted to scream. I wanted to grab the bottle of dish soap and smash it against the marble counter I helped pay for. Because every dime they stole from me paid for this fake dream of hers. But I didn't. I just smiled and said, "Sounds like a great opportunity." The boutique smelled like roses and drywall. Fresh paint, fake elegance. The kind of place you walk into and feel poorer just by breathing. White velvet curtains, gold-accented hooks, displays of hand-beaded veils and tiaras that shimmered under studio lighting, and at the front desk, Madison, my sister, dressed like a fashion CEO on launch day. Fitted cream blazer, soft curls, nude lipstick. her version of humility. "Don't worry, I'll train you myself," she said sweetly, handing me a spray bottle and a rag. We're a family brand, after all. The boutique was open Tuesday through Sunday. I worked 7 days. I cleaned mirrors, steamed sample dresses, wiped shoe scuffs off marble tiles, and restocked overpriced mini candles with names like Champagne Dreams and Forever Peony. Every night, after she and her assistant Danny left, I stayed behind to close. But really, I watched, and I listened. I learned things, like how she lied to vendors about being self-funded. How the boutique wasn't legally under her name. It was in our father's trust, which meant she couldn't make any real financial decisions without his sign-off. I found the folders in her office drawer, poorly labeled and sloppily organized. She had taken on a second credit line against the boutique's future sales, using my inheritance as leverage. She was drowning in debt and hiding it. And then there were the clients. Brides with tears in their eyes, furious fittings, canceled custom orders. Madison knew how to play glamorous for Instagram, but behind closed doors, she didn't care about the girls, just the photos. "She doesn't look like a size 4, she muttered one day after a fitting. "We'll tell her it's custom delay, then swap out the dress last minute." I wrote everything down. Times, dates, audio clips, copies of receipts. I started using my phone to scan documents and back up files to a hidden cloud, because I knew what they didn't. I wasn't their janitor. I was their record keeper. 6 weeks into the job, Dad stopped by the boutique. He gave me that same half-proud, half-dismissive nod he always gave when I stayed quiet. "Your sister's doing something special," he told me in front of clients. "A family legacy. You're lucky to be part of it." I smiled. "I'm just here to help however I can." Because I already knew what he didn't. A week earlier, I had paid a quiet visit to Nana's old lawyer, the same one who handled the estate. I didn't scream or accuse. I just asked questions. Turns out, the trust Dad opened with my inheritance should have been frozen pending a challenge. But because no one told me the funds were moved until after, I missed the legal contest window. But the boutique was still operating under those funds, and Madison, in her signature arrogance, had never bothered to create a separate LLC. She had been running everything under her full legal name, and that made her personally liable. I started working overtime. When she wasn't around, I printed copies of the vendor overcharges she forged, screenshotted price differences from the invoices she doctored. I even filmed a client returning a damaged gown she claimed had never been picked up. One night, I found the client contract template on her laptop. She'd been charging brides for non-refundable alterations before the dresses had even been shipped. Unethical. Possibly illegal. Definitely actionable. I wasn't just gathering evidence, I was preparing a file, and when I had enough, I sent it, anonymously, to 3 places. The original loan bank tied to the trust, a local bridal industry watchdog blog, a business attorney who owed Nana a favor. Engagement season had started early that year, and Madison's marketing budget, funded by my stolen future, was in full swing. She hosted wine tastings, bridal vision boards, live dress sketch sessions. Influencers walked through like royalty. Brides took selfies under her custom neon sign. Where forever begins. And I was still wiping down bathroom counters. But I knew every detail behind that glittering facade. Like the fact that the boutique hadn't broken even once since it opened, that her signature designer exclusives were really clearance gowns relabeled and resold at triple markup, that she was offering luxury fittings, but sourcing alterations to an unlicensed tailor who worked out of her garage. And then, one afternoon, something shifted. It came in the form of a quiet woman named Jillian Carter. She had an appointment, but Madison was running late. I offered her water, sat her in the plush ivory lounge, and struck up a conversation. She was soft-spoken, older than most of our brides, mid-40s, conservative blazer, meticulous eyes. Said she was helping her niece shop. She didn't ask many questions, just looked, observed, took notes. I didn't think anything of it, until I caught a glimpse of her phone screen. Bank of Garden Hills, Commercial Loan Department. That's when I knew the bank had started investigating. The first public blow, 2 weeks later, it happened. A blog post. Not viral, not explosive, but sharp. A bridal review site with a loyal local following posted a story titled, "The Boutique That Broke Bride's Trust." It didn't name names, but the dots were easy to connect. Descriptions of the neon sign, mentions of forced alteration fees, quotes from anonymous former employees, quotes I had provided. Madison went ballistic. "This is a hit piece," she raged, pacing the showroom. "Someone's trying to ruin me. It's sabotage." She was red-faced, breath short. Danny tried to calm her, but Madison shoved a clipboard off the counter and shouted, "Find out who did this!" I stood in the corner, folding a veil, calm as a grave. "You think it's one of the brides?" I asked softly. She blinked, narrowed her eyes at me. "No, it's someone inside." And for the first time, her eyes landed on me with suspicion. The breaking point. The final straw came on a Thursday. We had a back-to-back fitting day. Madison, always showy, had scheduled a champagne toast for one of her platinum brides. Everything was staged. Petals on the floor, custom playlist, Instagram story preloaded. But the bride never showed. Instead, a courier arrived with a cease and desist letter to Madison Ray Donnelly, he read aloud. "You are hereby notified of pending legal action regarding breach of contract, false advertising, and misuse of client funds." Madison went pale. It was the bride who had discovered her dress had been purchased off a sample rack online, not custom-made in Paris as promised. She'd hired a lawyer. Word spread fast. That evening, Madison screamed at me in the back office, shaking with panic. "If you know something, Emily, tell me now." I met her gaze with the calm I'd been cultivating for months. "I just cleaned the mirrors, remember?" She didn't speak to me for the next 2 days, but I didn't need her to, because behind the scenes, the lawyer I'd contacted had filed the first inquiry into misuse of inheritance funds. And since the business was tied to our family trust, a trust created using my legal allocation, the boutique's foundation was crumbling. The bank was circling. Vendors were questioning invoices. And the brides? They were talking. The boutique had a room Madison called the Reflection Gallery. It was her crown jewel, a hallway lined with vintage gold mirrors, all facing each other in a perfect illusion of endless space. Brides took photos there after their fittings. Madison once called it a metaphor for legacy, generations of beauty reflecting forward. To me, it was the perfect place to watch her unravel, because mirrors don't lie. The morning after the cease and desist arrived, the boutique felt brittle. Danny quit. Just texted Madison and never came back. One of the seamstresses followed her out 2 hours later. Our inbox started filling with refund requests, complaints, screenshots from brides comparing their custom dresses to $400 sale tags from warehouse sites. Madison locked herself in her office for most of the day. I heard her on speakerphone, with Dad, her voice shrill and frantic. "I can't afford this kind of exposure, Dad. I need a statement from the trust. I need the lawyer to make this go away." She was used to problems being solved for her. This time there was no lifeline, because the trust account she relied on was frozen, and she didn't know yet that I had initiated it. The boutique's birthday. Ironically, the boutique's 1-year anniversary was scheduled for that Saturday. She didn't cancel the event. Too proud, too terrified. Instead, she tried to bury the scandal under gold balloons and champagne fountains, rented a string quartet, invited a local bridal magazine editor, forced a few past clients into coming with gift vouchers and promises of PR features. Arrived early, she barely looked at me as I mopped the floor near the display cases. Her dress was white, again, as if she was the bride, and not just the thief of everyone else's moment. "Try not to get in anyone's photos," she said. I just smiled, because I wasn't here for pictures. I was here for the presentation. The file dropped at 6:45 p.m., halfway through the event. The editor from Northern Vows magazine asked to speak to Madison. He said he wanted to discuss the recent rumors. She laughed, fake, shrill. "Just jealous competitors, you know how it is." But 5 minutes later, I watched her storm out of the office in a panic, because he didn't just have rumors, had the file. Every invoice, every marked-up dress, every refund denied, every detail of her fraudulent practices. He had the list of brides who never got their dresses, and the screenshots proving resale markups. He had audio clips, ones I recorded, of her mocking clients behind their backs. "It's all fabricated," she shouted. "This is a setup." But the damage was done. People were already reading the article, because I had emailed the editor anonymously that morning, complete with legal attachments and a press-safe summary. The final act of the night I waited until the music slowed, and the magazine rep quietly left. Then I walked up to Madison as she stood in the mirror room, adjusting her dress, trying to act untouched. She saw me and sneered. "Enjoying the show, janitor?" I looked at her reflection beside mine. Her makeup was cracking. Her eyes were wide. A queen trying to rule ruins. I leaned in, not angry, not loud, just quiet enough for her to feel it in her bones. "You built this place with what was mine, and now you're going to watch it fall. From the inside out." Her hand froze at her neck. She turned like she wanted to scream, to demand answers. But I was already walking away. Monday morning came with a thud. Literally, a thick yellow envelope dropped through the boutique's front mail slot. I was alone when it happened. Madison hadn't come in, not since the anniversary fiasco. She'd been working remotely, according to the out-of-office auto reply she slapped on the boutique's inbox. I picked up the envelope, flipped it over, and saw the logo, Bank of Garden Hills. Inside was a foreclosure packet. Not on the building. The lease was still current, but on the assets tied to the commercial collateral, which included all boutique furnishings, every gown, veil, and accessory business equipment and fixtures, and most importantly, the brand rights, too. Madison's bridal TM. I didn't smile. Not yet. But I took out my phone and snapped a clean, crisp photo of the first page. Then I forwarded it to the lawyer. The second envelope came 2 days later. This one addressed directly to me. It was from the probate court. Inside was a confirmation. Disbursement violation. Beneficiary, Emily Ray Donnelly. Status: accepted for hearing. Date: November 18th, 10 Thagnid AM. Motion: request to reallocate misused inheritance funds and terminate trustee power. It was happening. All the quiet nights, the documents, the recordings, all the moments I swallowed my pride and scrubbed toilets in the business built with my stolen life. They were finally converging into something tangible, something legal, something public. Meanwhile, in the dressing room, Madison returned to the boutique later that week like nothing had happened. She wore sunglasses indoors. Her voice was hoarse from shouting, probably at our dad. And she walked past me with her phone glued to her ear, muttering phrases like character assassination and lawsuit bait. She didn't speak to me, but she watched me. Every time I reached for a hanger, every time I scribbled in the appointment book, I could feel her eyes trying to read my mind. She knew something was coming. She just didn't know when. So I helped her. I placed a printed copy of the auction notice on her desk. In bold marker, I wrote, "Assets seized from trust-backed. Ventures are now public sale eligible. Inventory review begins next Monday at 8 a.m. She screamed. I didn't flinch. What she didn't know, what Madison didn't realize, and what no one had even thought to check, was that I had quietly registered an LLC under the name RD Bridal Services, my initials, my legacy, and using the boutique's public inventory list, the one posted as part of the Foreclosure Transparency Act. I had prepared a pre-approved buyout offer through a third-party wholesaler who owed me a favor. By the time Madison realized what was happening, I had already secured the winning bid for 40% of the value. The bank accepted. On a Thursday afternoon, just 3 weeks after her anniversary gala, Madison returned to the boutique and found it gutted, gowns gone, displays empty, signage pulled, mirrors removed, all legally, all quietly, all through me. The boutique reopened exactly 91 days after Madison's last public meltdown. But this time, it wasn't called Madison's Bridal. The new sign glowed soft and golden under the same custom archway with a different name entirely. Second Daughter Bridal. Every letter was a scar turned into steel. The mirrors were back, but rearranged. No more illusions of endless vanity. Just elegant warmth, calm lighting, and one wide-open gallery space meant for truth, not performance. This boutique had no curated lies, no markups pretending to be miracles. Here, every bride was seen, fully, honestly, no matter her size, her budget, or her family name. On opening day, I stood just behind the counter. A few guests filtered in, former clients, curious walk-ins, even a few industry bloggers who remembered the fall of Madison's Bridal. I served sparkling water, adjusted a mannequin, and paused to watch the sunlight catch the embroidery on the new flagship gown, one I designed with an artisan from Toronto. Its name? Restoration. The confrontation. It was 2:47 p.m. when Madison showed up. She didn't walk in. She marched, hair still immaculate, outfit sharper than ever. But her face, that was different. Hollow, tight, like everything inside her was holding its breath. Is this a joke? She snapped, eyes darting. Around the showroom, I calmly placed a veil back on its hook. No joke, I said. Just business. You stole this. You stole it first. Madison's jaw clenched. This was supposed to be mine. I built this. I turned toward her, the sunlight now at my back. No. I built this after you buried me in it." There was a beat of silence, long, bare, brutal. Then she turned to leave. No threats, no apology, just retreat, because there was nothing left for her here. Aftermath. The probate hearing finalized 2 weeks later. The court ruled in my favor. My inheritance was to be repaid in full. The trust was dissolved. My father's role as executor was revoked. Madison was barred from forming any new business using family assets for the next 5 years. They didn't show up to the hearing. They sent a lawyer instead. Cowards always prefer silence when the consequences arrive. Closure. I don't know if Madison will ever forgive herself, or if my parents will ever understand what they did. But I know this. Every time I unlock the boutique doors in the morning, every time I see a bride smile without shame, without lies, every time someone signs their name on a receipt and knows what they're paying for, I remember the girl who stood in that mirror room, invisible, erased, used, and I thank her because she stayed quiet long enough to burn everything down and then built something better.